I'm Anne Marie Lockmeyer. You know, I keep trying to get the message out that grief is not just caused by someone dying. And when I work with someone on grief recovery and healing, we're often dealing with grief over the losses created by a divorce, a broken relationship, death of a pet, long-term medical problem, the empty nest, a major relocation, job loss or layoff, or more than 40 other serious losses that can create grief. And when people work with me, they assume I can relate to them because of the sudden death of my husband. And I can. But I will tell you that as much as the loss of my amazing husband devastated me beyond belief and rocked my world to the point where I didn't know how I could go on living, there was a loss that I experienced that caused me agony that was even worse. And that was watching my son struggle with mental health. Without going into a long history, I'll just say that at 16, I watched my beautiful, outgoing, happy, and fun-loving son start to change and begin a journey of hell for him and my husband and me, as his brain took him to a place of darkness, fears, anxieties, and compulsions, to the point where I didn't recognize him or the person he had become. And in all honesty, I didn't understand what was happening or what to do about it. After my husband died, my son struggled even more, and I would daily watch his brain and thoughts hurt him as his mental anguish was so great. And this has been a 10-year journey. I didn't think anything would be harder than my husband's death. But then I watched my son die a little bit each day. I watched him suffer for no fault of his own, and I couldn't help him, even though I tried. Part of grief recovery is recognizing all the losses that we've experienced. I realized I was experiencing the loss of my hopes, dreams, and expectations I had for my son, for my little boy. Things were not going as I had planned for him. These are common feelings that those who have loved ones who struggle with mental health issues can experience. We ache for them, and we ache for ourselves. We ache for often the lack of understanding and compassion other people and even family members may have for them, because often they look like they should be normal, but they aren't, because they're missing certain abilities, certain functions that other people have, and just because their brains work differently. And so they come off misunderstood and judged, as they may not behave or respond appropriately, and yet they look like they should know how to. I literally watched my son's brain rewire itself as he lost the ability to do things he used to be able to do. I thought in the beginning it was just his bad attitude or laziness, and I couldn't have been more wrong. And one of the things I had to grieve was that I was not a more understanding mother to him when he needed me. There is so much more to this story, and I could go on and on about all I've learned about mental health. I've had to educate myself. I've become an advocate, and I've found things that work and that don't work, and there's so many fabulous resources out there. We did things that did help. Most of the things didn't, but we found a couple that did. But that's not what this video is all about. This is about the importance of those of us who have loved ones struggling with mental health, whether it was from birth, later on in life. And again, these can be parents as well, siblings, friends, acknowledging that we are often dealing with a loss. As we work through the process of that loss, we are healthier and lighter, as we've been carrying a burden of a broken heart for us and for our loved ones. And we're finally able to deal with the emotions that we've been experiencing. And some we may not even be comfortable sharing, because we can even get annoyed with them. But when we do, we're better when we acknowledge these feelings. When I worked through recovery, not only was I better, my relationship with my son was better, and I was more understanding, and I was more patient. It allowed me to truly embrace who he was and not who I wanted him to be. You know, you could have a parent that's struggling with Alzheimer's and be going through some of these feelings. It's okay to admit that if we have a loved one who's struggling with mental health or even physical health, we may be experiencing unmet hopes, dreams, and expectations for them and for our relationship with them. And you know, that's a loss. And the beginning of healing and being free is acknowledging it. Then we can do something about it. So we can be better personally, and we can be better for them and with them. For more information, check out my website, griefandtraumahealing.com. If you want to work with me on grief recovery, you can contact me that way as well. Thanks for listening. Pain is real, but so is hope.